And we always start with, we take them in order we receive them, except that for elected officials or municipal officials, we allow them to go first. So I'm going to ask Mr. Brian Haddix, City of Chowchilla, to begin. He'll be followed by Ivor Sampson and then Frank Oliveira. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to come before your...
Excuse me, sir. I want to make sure you speak into the microphone so we can record your comments. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity to come before your board to share with you the positions expressed by the Chowchilla City Council. Before you is a handout that has multiple pages, and for the sake of brevity, I will speed through them fairly quickly. The three key driving points are regional planning, land use, meaning quality of life and jobs. The second page is an overall map of Chowchilla with Fairmead that gives you a sense of the lay of the land, with the takeaways being that prime ag land is to the west, that would be to the left side of the paper, with less prime to the other side, Fairmead down to the lower right corner, and our business park in between Chowchilla and Fairmead. The next two slides speaks to the economics of Chowchilla and Fairmead. Both communities are economically disadvantaged according to the U.S. Census Bureau, with the median household of Chowchilla being $37,466 and Fairmead $38,750. As I speed through, you'll see a slide with a map that shows an L-shaped red line on that. This speaks to our common working together between Fairmead and Chowchilla, mainly because Fairmead is within Chowchilla's sphere of influence. And so this map shares how we are in the process of sewering up, so to speak, with the efforts of the Regional Water Board, Chowchilla, which is currently on septic, to bring them onto our own wastewater system. The map with the multiple lines, the entitled Map of Chowchilla and Fairmead, really shows how the alignments impact our two communities. The takeaway message from this would be to not drive a wedge between the communities, but rather go around so it doesn't split right through the middle of our sphere of influence. Key element for our community, San Joaquin Valley, high unemployment, is jobs. So the next few maps speaks to the strong advantage of the two major highways coming together in Chowchilla, accessing quite a bit of the valley to the Bay Area. And what we strive for is a highly visible, unobstructed view of our businesses from these highways. And we have the Chowchilla Industrial Center, nice glossy picture of their vision with a narrative describing it. The map after that, the blue, pink, and chartreuse, shows their various layouts of it. And then the one after that shows how the alignment on 152 would cut right through their vision. The map that follows that is another residential hospitality and retail development where Highway 233, to us, Robertson Boulevard, intersects Highway 152. And the one that we don't have on here was a recent discussion with the GoBiz that wanted to place a battery electric car facility at the northwest corner of 152 and 99, again, right on 152. It's key. Jobs is key. And as I told my council, three key words you need to remember: jobs, jobs, and jobs, because of the struggles we have in the valley. The council then held two special meetings to collect the sentiment of the public, and through those, the council then restated its position from 2010, which is support for Avenue 21. So the rail alignment on 21, and then up Road 13, which is to the west of Chowchilla. This avoids impacting Chowchilla, Fairmead, as well as the business park. And this position is also shared by the Chamber of Commerce, which has stated this position since 2010, and by the community of Fairmead, which I believe you heard from at your last board meeting. What follows are the various resolutions that are full of much whereases and therefore be it resolved that staff love to generate. And at the conclusion, you'll see one that came forward just recently from the Green Hills Masters Association. This is the home development to the immediate east of Chowchilla, within close proximity to the Road 19 alignment. There's been various petitions circulating, some pro, some con. So the Masters Association weighed in with a vote, they being the elected body for the community there, the HOA, and they weighed in supporting Avenue 21, Road 13. And I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Haddix. We appreciate you trekking up here in the fog today and presenting this information. Thank you very much, sir. Next will be Ivor Sampson, representing Sunny Gem. Good morning, Mr. Sampson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ivor Sampson. I represent Sunny Gem. I appeared before this board on November 17th in Fresno and want to follow up very briefly on that meeting. I sent a letter to Chairman Richard and to Mr. Morales, which I have extra copies, but I'm assuming that will be circulated to the members of the board. That letter describes in detail how the present location of the high-speed rail right-of-way on the west side of the existing BNSF right-of-way in the city of Wasco is going to destroy the Sunny Gem facility, which is worth something on the order of $100 million, and will result in the loss of 200 jobs. The exhibits attached to this letter, there's 2 aerials that I think are quite telling. We have worked over the last 2 months or so to identify a potential new route on the east side of the BNSF right-of-way, which will not adversely impact Sunny Gem, in fact, just flipping it over on the other side of the existing right-of-way. And we believe, and there are citations in the letter, that can be done with a minimal, I'm going to call it minimal CEQA and NEPA procedures. It will not necessarily open up the world to environmental review. We had discussed a potential east side route with Ms. Diana Gomez, but that has been summarily rejected. We have met with the east side property owners, and they are willing to have the high-speed rail on their property. We have met with the city of Wasco, and Wasco supports putting, at least at the staff and 2 council member level, supports putting the alignment on the east side of the right-of-way. I'm going to be driving down to Wasco tonight in the fog, where the Wasco City Council is considering a resolution supporting an east side location.
I bet you wish you had a faster way to get down there.
Pardon?
I'll bet you wish you had a faster way to get down.
Yes. You know, many times when I've driven down there, I've thought I wish there was an easier way. But putting that aside for the moment, quite frankly, we've done a lot of work here to try and come up with a reasonable alternative. We're not opposed to the high-speed rail. We just want to try and save jobs for Sunny Gem and create an optimal solution for everyone, but time is running out. We've taken the initiative to work with the property owners. We've taken the initiative to work with the city of Wasco, and I'm here respectfully to ask the opportunity to meet with you, Mr. Richard or Mr. Morales, whoever's appropriate, to see if we can work together constructively to develop a mutually agreeable solution to this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sampson. And colleagues, I did pull Mr. Sampson aside this morning and say that I've been talking with staff about this, and if there's a way to work together to address these issues, we'll certainly try to do that.
Thank you.
Also trekking a long distance is our next speaker, Frank Oliveira, followed by Ross Browning. Good morning, Mr. Oliveira.
Good morning. Today I'm going to make a personal request. I'm representing Mel's Farms and Mike Rose Family Trust, which are my family. Dear Governor Brown, board members, and Chief Executive Officer Morales, we are requesting your assistance to properly value the Mel Farms and Mike Rose Family Trust properties that will be acquired by the California High-Speed Train Project. We request that you work closely with the Division of Oil, Gas, and Geothermal Resources, otherwise known as DOGGRD, to determine the oil and gas development potential of our properties that will soon be acquired by the project. Based on official maps and published professional articles, our property to be acquired by the project are part of the vast Monterey Shale deposit in the Central Valley. Potentially could be tapped for oil and gas exploration and production in the future. Our properties currently are zoned for agriculture use, but as demonstrated by the placement of the project on our property, land uses can easily be changed in the future. That said, it seems reasonable that the authority consider this potential future development of our property and the fair market valuation of our property that will be lost to the project, and that we be compensated accordingly. Our request seems even more reasonable after it came to our attention that the governor of the state of California recently directed the DOGGRD to provide him maps and information about the potential of developing oil and gas resources on his personal property located near Williams, California. We're not aware of the land use zoning of the governor's property, but the property has repeatedly been referred to as his ranch, so we will assume it is also in an agricultural land use zoning. It is also our understanding that the DOGGRD fulfilled the governor's direction. We also are aware that the governor has stated in several media interviews about the matter that the DOGGRD service was available to everyone. In a recent San Jose Mercury News interview, the governor also suggested that his direction to the DOGGRD was a reasonable accounting of the many attributes of his ranch property that belonged to his forebears, and he encouraged others to follow his actions. There seems to be many similarities between the governor's property and our property. Our property is also rural, agricultural land that belonged to our forebears and is important to us. The governor's statement seems to reinforce the reasonableness of our request and reflect that we have more in common with him than we previously thought. The appraiser parcel, the FB numbers are FB 160026, FB 160027, FB 160028, FB 160033, and FB 160031. We are making this request for services directly to the DOGGRD, and are only requesting that you, the authority, work with the DOGGRD in good faith to include the valuation of our properties based on what the DOGGRD information reveals. Please respond to our request in writing. We're looking forward to working with you and your staff on this matter. Please include this request in the board meeting record for December 2015, and I've included a letter with copies of the governor's interviews pertaining to this matter for your review.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Oliveira.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Browning, followed by Ted Hart.
Good morning. Dear Governor Brown, board members, and Chief Executive Officer Morales. Last summer, the California High-Speed Rail Authority formally requested that the international mega infrastructure construction and operating communities provide you with advice on how to build and operate your proposed inland initial operating segment of the high-speed train system. The international community studied your plans and responded to your request. At the November 17th, 2015 board meeting, the public formally asked you to explain these responses. Your chairman dismissed the public request, saying that they did not understand what the authority had requested. Due to the chairman's comments, we re-examined the matter to ensure that what the public had requested was appropriate and valid. That done, we now respectfully request that the authority board publicly explain why, after studying the authority's plans, the following list of international mega infrastructure builders and operations expressed detailed concerns about your ability to finance, construct, secure investment, or even attempt to operate a high-speed rail system. This list of 16 individual firms resulted in more than 13 responses from firms such as Japan California High-Speed Rail Commission, Parsons Transportation Group, China Railway International, and DB International GmbH, a German outfit. There's a list of more here, which I'm not going to go into. Continuing with the public explanation, please explain in detail why all of the builders and operators listed above told you your plans would require guaranteed revenue, secured payments, or subsidies to be given to private investors in order to be successful, when such actions are clearly and specifically prohibited by Prop 1A. I respectfully submit that this request be entered into the document in the December 8th board meeting minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Leave
Browning.
a copy of this with the secretary.
All right. Mr. Hart will be followed by Ron Jones from Madera.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I first would like to express my appreciation to the board for posting the paper dealing with the myth that 4,300 miles of new freeway lanes would be required if Phase 1 blended was not built, a paper I submitted as public comment at your last board meeting. Today I'm submitting 2 more papers as public comment. The first of these is Population Growth and the Need for High-Speed Rail, exposes the fact that your contractors, when drafting the statewide EIR, which this board certified in 2005, used an obsolete California population growth report written in 1998, as opposed to a newer report written in 2004, predicting only half the population growth of the 1998 report. It was your contractors' doubling of the rate of growth and then exaggerating the infrastructure needs of that fictitious population that resulted in the contractor claiming in the statewide EIR that 2,900 miles of new freeway lanes, most of which would be needed by January 1, 2016, would be required if high-speed rail was not built. This is a claim that will decidedly be known as false at your next board meeting. Your contractors, with approval, continue to publish exaggerated population. Oh, I'm sorry. I must have hit something. Yeah, I apologize. I'll get you all fooled up here.
That's quite all right.
That's fine.
Restart the timer.
This just gives Mr. Droz an opportunity to demonstrate
Yes.
the complete wide range of his abilities.
You're looking at it.
Okay. Your contractors, with your approval, continued to publish exaggerated population growth data to make a case for their train and their continued employment. Specifically, their June 2015 California High-Speed Rail Big Picture brochure, as did your 2012 business plan, continues to claim that within the next 30 to 40 years, California will grow by the current population of New York State and reach 58 million. Again, your contractors rely on obsolete data. Current population projections indicate that California's population might never reach 58 million. My second submittal, the Green Train, focuses on claims made in your June 2013 high-speed train greenhouse gas emissions report and discloses just how dirty and brown your train will be. Your contractors tell you that construction emissions can be mitigated by planting trees, but hide important data such as the emissions associated with the fabrication and transportation of construction materials, which might account for 90% of total construction emissions. Their stated reason for hiding this data is their claim that precise quantities and source of materials are not known. However, they told you a year before writing their emission report that construction of just Phase 1 blended would require 276,000 tons of rail, 6,500 miles of electrical wires and cable, and enough concrete for 190 grade separations and over 100 miles of elevated concrete viaducts. These are pretty precise numbers. Your contractors failed to tell you how many trees would be enough trees to sequester total construction emissions. This paper estimates 5 million new trees 1/6 of all the trees in Oregon's private and public forests might have to be grown and kept alive in perpetuity to sequester construction emission for the statewide system. Your contractors tell you that your train will run 100% on 100% renewable energy, paid for with a 3-cent per kilowatt-hour surcharge. This paper refutes this absurd claim and concludes that a surcharge 10 times this amount would be necessary to fund green energy projects costing over $2 billion just to meet the need for the energy in the year 2029. Your contractors continue to misinform you and the public so that they can keep this unnecessary project alive. They do this because it is in their corporation's best interest. The board needs to ask tough questions of your contractors and stop spending millions of dollars every month on your contractors until these questions are answered. Any one of you could be a hero with millions of Californians right now if you just put forth a motion demanding a new supplemental statewide EIR and halt construction activities until the true costs are arrived at. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Our last speaker is Mr. Ron Jones from Madera.
Good morning, board members and Executive Officer Morales. My name is Ron Jones. As a concerned citizen, I just wanted to follow up on some of the comments from the last meeting in Fresno and make a request. Dear Governor Brown, board members, and Chief Executive Officer Morales, last summer, the California High-Speed Rail Authority formally requested the International Infrastructure Construction and Operations communities to provide you with advice on how to build and operate your proposed initial operating section of the high-speed rail train system. The international community studied your plans and responded to your request. On September 17th, the public formally asked you at your last board meeting to explain the responses that you received. Your chairman dismissed the public as not understanding what the authority had requested. Due to the chairman's comments, we reviewed the matter to assure that the public requested was appropriate. That done, we now respectfully request the authority board to publicly explain why, after studying the authority's plans, the following international mega infrastructure builders and operators expressed detailed concerns about your ability to do some of all of the following: finance, construct, secure investors, or operate a high-speed rail system. Those are the following: Cintra Infrastructure, Ferroville, Ironman U.S. Corp., Meridian Infrastructure North America, AECOM, Insolux Corson, Vincenti Concessions, Global Via Inversion, Acumen Building Enterprises, ACS Infrastructure, Dragos Cobra Industrial Services, OHL Infrastructure, Ashers, Kiewit, and finally, Indra USA. I submit this request to be entered into the December board meeting record, and I truly appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you to citizens who came before us today. That concludes the public comment period. We'll now turn to the regular agenda, and the first item is the approval of the minutes from both the November 9th and November 17th meetings.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Rossi, seconded by Vice Chair Selby. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Director Schenk?
Yes.
Vice Chair Richards?
Yes.
Vice Chair Selby?
Yes.
Director Rossi?
Yes.
Director Correa? Director Curtin?
Yes.
Chair Richard?
Yes. Before we turn to the next item, which is the last public item, I just want to take a moment logistically to check with board members. We have a closed session, and I know that some people are going to have to leave at some point. So while the year-end review is important stuff, I want to make sure that we have adequate time for the closed session. So the only question is 12:30? Okay. And Mr. Morales, how long do you think your presentation is?
8 minutes and 47 seconds, if Mr. Rossi has his way. Less than 10 minutes.
Okay, that's good. Then fine, let's go ahead and proceed with that. I appreciate just taking a moment to just make sure we're going to, yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, board members. As we go through the monthly meetings and take care of business, I think it's hard to keep sight of just how much is going on with this program and how much progress is being made. So I thought that this being the end of the year would be a good opportunity to just do a recap of where we are in the program, what's happened over the last year, and where we're heading in the coming year, and a few key areas in terms of the business before this board. Over the course of the last year, you have approved and we have executed contracts for construction package 2-3, for the rail delivery partner, for environmental and engineering contracts on segments between Palmdale to Burbank, Los Angeles, Anaheim, San Francisco, San Jose, Merced. Last week we received the proposals from 5 bidders for construction package 4, and we'll be coming to the board. Our intent is to come in January seeking approval to move forward and execute that contract. Construction is well underway. We have, you've seen pictures of what's underway, and over the course of the next 6 weeks or so, we'll have an additional half dozen to 7 major sites under construction. All of these significant structures, viaducts, bridges, trench work in CP1 will be underway over the coming weeks. And what that'll translate into is significant job growth, more opportunities for local small businesses, which we'll talk about more. But construction is well underway. And that, of course, is due in part to progress we've made, significant progress in terms of property acquisition, right-of-way process. Last year, at the start of the year for construction package 1, we had fewer than 90 properties acquired. We're now at 376, and by the end of the year, by the end of this month, we should surpass 400. On CP2-3, we started the year with 0 properties. We're now at 128 and counting. Our projections are that in the months of this month and next month, 50 additional parcels should be transferred to the design builders, and we are beginning to acquire property in CP4 as well. So we're making significant progress there. Partnerships and agreements, we've entered into planning grants with the City of Fresno, with the City of Bakersfield. Bakersfield is a significant turnaround from where we've been in prior years. Not only do we have the planning grant, but we are working with them on the locally generated alignment, a new alignment that we think holds great promise and that the city is very encouraged about moving forward with. In Southern California, last month we reached agreement and the Metro Board, LA Metro Board approved a revised plan to ensure that high-speed rail, in fact, would come into Union Station, not be adjacent to it, as earlier plans had called for. Another important step forward in terms of progress. And as we have done for years, we continue to work with the private sector, and the private sector, what I mean by that are those who have been a part of financing, delivering, operating, maintaining major infrastructure around the world, and who potentially will be a part of this program. We had extensive engagement with them, received extensive input from over 50 major companies over the course of the year formally, in addition to the continuing work we have with them. And of course, in the design-build process, we're already engaging the private sector initiative by finding better, more efficient ways to deliver the program. I want to show a quick video of where we're making our progress.
And the high-speed rail links us from the past to the future, from the south to Fresno and north. This is truly a California project bringing us together today.
In January, Governor Brown helped celebrate the groundbreaking of high-speed rail at the site of the future station in downtown Fresno.
We are supporting high-speed rail because we want more choices, particularly sustainable choices. The actions of our generation are showing elected officials that sustainable transportation is important to us. This is better for our environment and better for our economy. We want a community that offers more choices for how to travel, how to commute, and how to visit our families. So as representatives of future workers, riders, and beneficiaries of high-speed rail, we thank you for investing in our future and in the future of California. As our saying goes, I will ride.
High-speed rail plays a critical role in a sustainable future for all of us, where we can grow the economy, expand opportunity, and protect public health and the environment all at the same time.
You know, the water bond, which my father promoted in 1960, it only won by less than 1%. The BART bond only passed because the legislature reduced the bond passage majority from 66 2/3 to 60, and it got, I think, about 61%. So all these projects are a little bit, you know, touch and go all the way, because you'll always have critics. Why spend them? And the high-speed rail links us from the past to the future, from the south to Fresno and north. This is truly a California project bringing us together today.
In January, Governor Brown helped celebrate the groundbreaking of high-speed rail at the site of the future station in downtown Fresno.
We are supporting high-speed rail because we want more choices, particularly sustainable choices. The actions of our generation are showing elected officials that sustainable transportation is important to us. This is better for...
Let's just kill it.
Yeah, sorry.
You don't want to play it all?
Yeah. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think so.
As you would have seen, we have visuals of the work underway. And one of the very important aspects of this program are the benefits that will come to Californians as we build the program. The board has, as you know, adopted a 30% small business goal. A key reason behind that and a key benefit of it is that small businesses pretty much by definition tend to be local businesses. So having that goal and taking all the steps we are taking to ensure that we meet that goal really means that we're keeping work in California, in the region. And to date, we have 240 small businesses under contract. Well over 200 of those are California small businesses. You see the locations of where they are, and within that we have a significant number of disabled veteran business enterprises, over almost 3 dozen of them. That work is staying local. We're also seeing, we're still at the front end of the major employment that will happen to individuals in the area. We're working closely with the building trades, with the local workforce investment boards, to make sure that we have people ready to take those jobs and come in and perform that work. Also should note progress we've made organizationally, because obviously this organization is responsible for implementing the program and delivering it. We've moved forward. We do have 2 new board members this year that we've had. We've had all of our key positions are filled, and we're now at almost 200 at the state staff level. That number was, I believe, 17 when I started 3 years ago, so we've had significant growth, building up the capacity to deliver this program. And we're moving forward with the integration of our rail delivery partner, our critical private sector partners, to help deliver this program. Finally, just a few notes about what's ahead for 2016. In February, we'll be releasing to the public and for the board's consideration the draft business plan as required by the legislature, and that's due to the legislature in May of 2016. On the delivery front, construction will accelerate rapidly and expand, covering almost 100 miles of work will be underway in different forms as we go forward. Right-of-way progress will continue. Key environmental milestones will be met as we move forward on the rest of the Phase 1 program and making sure that we can move forward and deliver that. We'll continue all of our stakeholder engagement, outreach, working with partners to help deliver the program, find more efficient ways of providing benefits to the state of California as we go forward, and continued work on how we most effectively utilize the funding that has become available to us through cap and trade to advance the program fully. And so, Mr. Chair, that was a quick update on where we are, what's ahead, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
All right. Ms.
Hey. Oh, good, it's on. So, Jeff, with all this progress, and it is considerable. Tell me, what are the top things that keep you awake at night with regard to this project?
Sure. Well, we don't have the luxury of focusing on any one thing because of the nature of the program. So at the same time that we have to make sure we get construction fully mobilized and underway, we also have to be advancing the other stages of the program. So to date, certainly getting into construction, getting into full-blown construction has been probably the single biggest thing that's kept me awake, kept all of us focused. And a big part of that has been right-of-way, and we've worked very hard over the last year to address issues that have faced us in right-of-way in terms of internal issues, engagement with third parties in the process that we have to go through in order to acquire property. And we're now on a much better track, and we're seeing work beginning because of the right-of-way piece. So, but I think the actual really fully engaging on the construction front is our highest priority.
Just one thought. And in terms of the staffing, on the communications area,
Right.
I know we lost our executive there. Has he or she been replaced?
Yeah, Lisa Marie Alley is our Director of Communications now. We are expanding that team and are leveraging also through our consultant forces what we can do in terms of outreach and producing materials. So that's an area that we continue to focus on. Yes.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. Well, Mr. Curtin will be happy to know that he's listed under the progress heading.
Yeah, I was questioning that myself. One step forward, two steps back,
Right.
vice versa.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Morales. The board's going to enter into closed session, but before we do, this is our last meeting of the year. Past experience has taught me that not everybody waits around with bated breath for me to come out and say that there were no actions taken in the closed session. So as we go off to closed session, I just want to acknowledge this is the holiday season. It's an important time of year for many faiths and many ethnicities in California. So I think on behalf of my colleagues, we wish you all a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, joyous Kwanzaa, and all the blessings of the holiday season, and the best for Happy New Year. So the board will now enter into closed session, and we'll report back after that. Thank you.